Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of NC-17. Today we have with us wrestler, actor, dude I never want to meet in the back alley, Lex Bain. How you doing today?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm all right, I'm all right. Uh so before we get started, if you want to give a little bit of background of what you do and like just kind of what kind of person you are.
Uh, well, I do quite a few things actually. Professional wrestling is one. That's how I met Justin and all of them. Of course, I work the regular 9 to 5 job during the week. But also on the side of everything else, I do compete in strongman competitions. As of right now, I am ranked fourth strongest man in Tennessee. And we're going to hit that number one spot this coming May.
All right.
So
That's awesome. How long you been doing strongman contests?
I started about 4 years ago. Um, I was going for Tennessee Strongest Man. It was going to be taking place in July. I actually got COVID a month before the competition, and I lost 60 pounds in 21 days.
Dang.
Spent one night in the hospital, and the nurses and all of them looked at me. They're like, "We don't understand how you're even standing here or even walking on your own power. Like there's something different." And when I got out of the hospital, of course, I had to take my time getting back into the gym, back into wrestling and everything. And a group of guys came up to me in the gym, and they're like, "Hey, you have a chance to start over. What if we run with this strongman thing? You're already big enough to hold the heavy weights and everything. Anyway, what do you say?" And I tell you, I jumped in with both feet, and it's been fun since I started.
Oh yeah. Uh, let's go back a little bit further. In 2008, from 2008 to 2011, you were a correctional officer.
Yes.
Uh, can you go into detail a little bit about your life doing that? How was that?
Um, I it's a mixture of it was fun, but it was also terrifying in the same instance because when you go in, uh, you hear the door lock right behind you as soon as you go in. And if one, at that point, at one simple mistake could cost you your life. And that was an everyday thing. Of course, I worked second shift, the most active shift of any time because they're not sleeping, they're fully active. Boredom is fully set in, and most of them just like to cause trouble or whatever. It was a definitely a crazy time, but I came out with a lot of life experience after doing all that because I was brought up the good in people, the good in people, the good in people, and when you're in there, it's it's a whole different ball game when you're in there.
Oh yeah. Uh, let's go a little bit into your professional wrestling. I'm a huge wrestling fan. Like I
All
have
right.
been. My very first match was Hulk Hogan versus the Missing Link at the Michigan State Fair.
Wow.
That was a long time ago.
Right.
So what kind of got you into the wrestling scene, and was that always something you wanted to do even as a child?
uh, as a child, I had a very, very bad experience. And I was roughly, I can't remember how old I was, but it was 1997. And trying to cope with what had gone on during that time, uh, all the kids were talking about wrestling nonstop. And I was like, everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was, period. Everybody knew who that was. I was like, well, I guess that's my favorite because I know who that is. I watched Monday Night Nitro, and it was the debut night of Goldberg,
Okay.
and him and Hugh Morris, and that match for that entirety of that one match, the outside world was shut off, and I was lasered in. And when the match was over, I was like, I don't know what just happened. And I'm a kid now. I'm a kid. I was like, I don't know what just happened, but all the bad stuff that was going on around was gone for that 5 to 10 minutes. And I was like, if I could do that for other kids and other people, that's what I want to do. And Goldberg was a very big one for me. Even to this day, I was like, if he is going to be on TV, I'm sitting back watching.
Uh,
So,
he's actually supposed to have his retirement match this year.
yes, it's going to hurt to see it because I don't want it to be over, but I understand, hey, time is undefeated.
That's very true. So in wrestling, you got your faces and you got your heels. What would you consider yourself?
I am the biggest baby you'll ever meet. And it's
Okay.
kind of weird because you're a wrestling fan. You would see somebody my size and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that guy's a heel, straight through and through. And I did the heel thing for quite a bit of time, but I was like, wait a minute. What if we flip this? What if I had face paint and everything? I'm known as the alpha beast anyways, because I'm so much larger than everybody else. I was like, what if we flip this and I give the kids somebody, even though he's a monster and can be and everything, what if we flip it? And let me tell you something, it has been the best decision ever made because now the kids look at me and they're like, wow. And now I'm getting that reaction out of the kids I wanted when I was a little kid and wanted to do start.
Uh, it's got to be like rewarding knowing that you're having an impact on someone's life outside of just like the entertainment business, because it's like as a kid you wanted that and now you're
Yes.
giving that. So how rewarding is that?
It is very, very rewarding. Just to know that I've had parents come up to me and saying, "This kid talks about you nonstop," and that's great, and I love it. But I have a 12-year-old son, and getting his approval is honestly number one to me all the way through.
uh, so let's go to the moment that you met Justin,
Hmm.
the writer and director of Twisted Cables. How did that interaction go, and like from there to now, how has that relationship evolved?
Well, I did know Justin's father, who also did some filming and stuff like that. I met him, oh Lord, 13, 14 years ago. And this is when I was moving to the Paris area because I was thinking about getting back into wrestling. I had left for a little while, got married and everything else. And I met his dad. Dad, wonderful guy, a horror nut, just like me and everything else. And we talked a lot and everything. Well, then I met Justin. Of course, the funniest thing is he can deny it if he wants to. I've never really asked him, but Justin is a spitting image of his dad, spitting
Okay.
image of his dad, and very low key, sits back, very quiet, but it's funny, and will talk to you all day long if you show interest in wanting to talk, and that's what I love about Justin, anyways. But I think I really met him right after his father passed away. We did a tribute to him before a show, and that is the night I really got to meet him and shake his hand, talk just a little bit, and that was kind of just like, hey, how you doing? I knew your dad and everything. Of course, I never really thought anything more than like I knew he was a wrestling fan, but that was about it. And then I saw him at the Tattoo and Horror Fest in Nashville, which I try to go to every year, and I was like, I didn't realize you were almost just like your daddy with all these movies and everything else. And I remember asking him, I was like, I want to see how good of a movie guy you are. I was like, can you see if you can find me a DVD copy of Dolly Dearest? I was like, it was one I saw as a kid. You can't find it hardly anywhere now. And I was like, "Why don't you see what you can do?" And he messaged me about 3 weeks later. He goes, "Man, I'm still having trouble finding that one." And I was like, "Well, hey, at least you remembered." I was like, "That's cool, cool to me." But I
All
was like,
right.
"At least you remembered." And then when he came up, he approached me after a wrestling show. He goes, "Hey, would you want to do an indie horror movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And the rest has become history.
All right. Uh, did you ever get that copy of Dolly Dearest?
No, but he did tell me that a site put it up while we were filming. The first day we were filming, he's like, "Hey, just so you know, a site has it up in a collector's." And he said, "No, it's not going to be cheap." And I was like, "Well, Big Daddy a little broke right now, so we're just going to have to wait on all that." So, but he does have a copy of it, and I was like, "I'll just borrow it one time. That's all good
Uh,
too."
it is a very hard movie to find, and I think I've only seen it in stores like 3 times.
Right.
Yeah. Uh, I do have a copy of it. If I had an extra one, I'd send it to you, but I only got one.
So I feel you. I feel you. I get it.
Yeah. So being casted into Twisted Gables, you play one of the brothers.
Yes.
I'm going to guess probably the bigger brother.
Yes.
And that's all respect, trust me. So getting the script and reading your part, uh, what was the first thing that came to mind about the character that because I know Justin gives you guys free reign, so you can kind of
Mhm.
make the character your own. What
Mhm.
was your first reaction of how you wanted this character to be portrayed on screen?
Well, he when he brought the scripts, which was after a wrestling show, he brought it and gave it to me. He goes, "Read it over. We're gonna have a table read." They were setting all this up already, and I was like, "Okay." Well, the next day, I went to the laundromat, and I was like, "I'm going to read this while I'm there." And I tell you what, I read through it, and I was like, the first little bit, I was like, I don't see. I'm trying to put myself. Can I pull this off?
Right.
That's kind of the way I looked at it, and I read, and then we got to the good scenes, and I was like, "Oh, I am all in." But I could see by the words he had put down what his vision was, and I was like, "Okay, I see what you're wanting, how you're wanting the looks, how you're wanting it's the brutality, I should say, on some of the things." I was like, "Okay, I understand what you are asking for." And then I went back after I read the whole script. I didn't read just mine. I read all the way through because I wanted to read the story.
Yeah.
How did it go through everything else? And then I went back and I would go through and stop where my lines were. And I was like, "Oh, I can make yes, yes. I just need to say it, and then I need to put it in my own flowing term ways. That way, it doesn't sound scripted or anything else. It sounds like, oh, these are two people having a conversation, like normal people."
All right.
And he's not holding anything back. He's saying it just how. And of course, Justin was like, "I'm all for it. Run with it."
All right.
So,
So as of right now, I haven't seen it,
okay.
but I don't want to spoil too much. But is there a particular scene that that your character is involved with that is like your favorite scene, or is it just like overall just like great?
Uh, there is one scene for me. Uh, and the whole is great. But there is one scene where I think Justin's talked about it, Carl's talked about it. Um, I'm going to leave it at that because it needs to pop up for you. Brutality is
Brutality.
all I'm going to say with it. Yeah.
Well, I'm a big horror fan. Like
Mhm.
you could probably if yeah, it's crazy. But anyhow, the more brutal, like I like the brutality and the violence and stuff like that in movies because to me that's stuff that shouldn't exist in the real world, but it does,
Yes. Yes.
you know. But With you being a professional wrestler and being in a movie, did you draw from the inspiration of being a wrestler, like your heel times, to this character?
Um, the character, I took it a little bit further. Um, the biggest thing I wanted this character to have is the strength of a Jason Voorhees.
Okay.
And that when the mask went on, that is the inner feel of what I felt like I was the Jason Voorhees, even to the way that I started breathing with pumping my chest up and then coming back down slow for the fear factor of God, I don't want this guy to walk towards me or anything. That was kind of what was ringing through my head through all this, and that's kind of, as I said, it also with the strength aspect of it because I wanted people to look at it going, my God, this almost like disbelief. Like you see in the movies, like, oh, he picked him up like that. There's no way. Well, in this, yes, it
Uh,
was all pure strength. So, yeah.
the disbelief, kind of like in Friday the 13th, Part 6, where he folds the sheriff in half.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
like I said, big fan. So,
Yeah.
you know, uh, with Twisted Gables being, you've seen Mother Shucker. I'm taking you've seen that.
I have seen half of it. I have not got to see the completion of the movie. No.
All right. So, from what you have seen to this, two completely different films. Uh, so to go from like a horror comedy to a straight, this is what's happening, and I know the story. I don't want to ruin it for people,
Mhm.
but go to from comedy and horror to just straight brutality and violence, and hey, you fucked our family over. Now we're gonna fuck you over. It sorry for the custom, but
No, you're good. It's your show, brother.
but a lot of people are gonna say, like, is this a movie about a family trying to survive, or is this a movie about? I said it when I was in an interview with Cassie. I think this is more along of a retribution story, just from what I've gathered. I haven't watched it yet.
Right. Um, it's funny because I watched your interview with Cassie and you asked that and I was like, holy shit, how do I compare this movie if I'm trying to explain it without giving anything away? And I found the answer.
All right.
Have you seen the movie Unhinged with
Yes.
Kurt Russell? That is the closest thing I can come to. It's one of those, the synopsis is fuck around and find out.
And there's a lot of
That's
that
kind
going
of how
around.
yes. And that's kind of how I feel all this went down. You can be the nicest person on the planet, but your taking shit meter only goes so high for everybody. And I kind of see that in this movie. And that's one thing that drew me to it. I was like, I love it. Absolutely love it. And you will see this movie will show you the transformation from tolerating to taking out the trash.
uh, so we at on our show we do a year end award show, the NC-17 awards, and Mother Shucker has won a couple of awards,
Right.
and I am all about independent film. I mean, I love all film to be honest, but
Right.
independent film to me is like the heart and soul of entertainment
Mm-hmm.
because you guys you look at what the project is and you put it all into it.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying Hollywood don't, but Hollywood's like, hey, when am I getting paid? I mean, we all want to get paid, but I say that just from conversations I've had and when I see the movie, I can almost guarantee it will be up for a few awards. And there's a group of us that sit around and we all watch the movies and we talk about it and stuff like that. But if it's as brutal as you say it is, once I see the movie, I'll let you know exactly what kind of award it will be up for. If it is, I'm not gonna lie, it probably will be. But but going forward with like Twisted Gables, because again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know the outcome. But working further in film, is that something you want to do?
Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun, and especially with Justin and Carl and Leah and all them. Yeah, I'd keep going. I would honestly, if things would steady out, I would probably leave wrestling to go do it just
Okay.
to have fun. I am a guy that wants to have fun, whether you're going to be booing me on the screen or not. As long as it's fun and I can give you what you need to have, yeah. Uh, I never see myself making it up there or anything because I'm simple enough. But like, if somebody like Rob Zombie called saying, "Hey, I saw this film that you did," and I love Rob Zombie's films as well, by the way. Would you want to come up? You kill me first. Yeah, I'll be there. Yes, the Spalding man. I love him. I love
Oh yeah. I bought that for my wife 2 years ago, and she refuses to let anybody even touch it. I'm only allowed to touch it when it's on the show. So,
Right.
not to change that, but yeah.
No.
So if it's okay, can I get a little bit like into the family history? Your wife, your kid, and how's that? And do they like 100% support you and stuff like that?
110%. My wife, her father is actually a musician as well. So, like with the wrestling and everything else, uh, she used to go watch her dad play on the weekends at VFWs and everything else. So when she got together with me, it was kind of like, oh, we're going to trade music for this. And I like this a lot better. Of course, we've been married for going on 16 years now. So, yeah, she absolutely loves it. And the kid, the boy, as I call him, uh, he is in for a good time. He was actually on set the second day when we were filming kills and everything else, and he's sitting in the corner with his mouth wide open and having a good old time with
Oh,
it. So,
well, that's a good thing. Uh,
oh yeah,
so with filming Twisted Gables, like, was there a lot of? I'm gonna say probably yeah, but it's best to hear from you. Was there a lot of like excess gore and blood when it came to certain things that happened in the movie?
yes, um, quite a few things. Of course, I got excited when they come over, like, listen, it's going to look a little like this. And I turn into the little schoolgirl going, let's go. Let's do it.
Oh yeah. So you say you're a horror fan. Who would, outside of your mainstays, which are Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason and Leatherface, and Pinhead, who would you say would be like the if you had to choose a sixth best villain, who would it be?
Oh, Lord. Um, one of the tops is the guy, old boy you just showed, and that's Captain Spaulding. He's one of my top favorites. Uh, I would have, I guess, him because as far as like slasher goes, Um, yeah, you got the top, but I was like, Art the Clown is another good one that I think has rightfully earned his name up there with them. And that, I mean, that's my opinion. But no, I'm a very big Spalding fan, very big.
Yeah.
So
Uh, I think the scene in Terrifier 2, the bedroom scene, that qualifies Art to be up there with the best.
yes. Well, and that's like I know a lot of people showed flack for Terrifier 3, but in my opinion, the bathroom scene was I was like, okay, I'm a Leatherface fan. I've seen them all, but I have never seen that in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And I was like, yeah, if y'all gonna make another one, you better step it up just a little bit because I mean, he did a pretty decent good job at what he did. So
Yes, like my wife stopped watching it like right at that scene. uh, so let's go a little bit more into the. I'm all over the place, but
no, you're good. You're fine.
let's go into the chemistry with some of the cast members on Twisted Gables. was there like certain people you were definitely looking forward to working with, and was there people that was like surprising that, hey, you pulled that out of nowhere?
Um, most of them were like Carl and everything. They made the things like easy going, flowing. The one that I thought wound up giving a better performance than I originally thought he was going to do was Christopher. Mainly because when we did the table read, he was kind of the way he was reading his lines. I was like, oh please Lord, don't let him sound like a robot remembering his lines. But dude, he jumped in it and just flew off the cuff quite a bit and knew what direction. I was like, I of course I love Christopher to death. I've wrestled him so many times. We're actually tag team champions in Paris. But he was one that, I mean, he's fun, but this was a serious role as well. So he had to maintain that seriousness. And but when we started filming, he started popping things out. I was like, okay, he's turned it around. He's in it now. He's not Christopher anymore. So I was like, okay, let's rock and roll.
All right. Uh, so I have purposely left out the question of asking people the names of their characters because I want everybody to just go into it, blindly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to ask you, but I will say, out of all of the Gable family, who's the who's the one that you would say would be the nicest? Would it be your brother, your mom, who? Because we know what happened. Well, I know the story of why you guys are doing what you're
Mm-hmm. Our mother is the voice of reason, and I'll leave it right there.
I've seen the trailer quite a few times, and yeah, I will. I wouldn't expect that, but I gotta watch the movie.
Yeah.
So with filming, was there anything that you found like a little bit difficult to film? Was there a particular scene or just like a line that you kind of was like, I don't know how this is going to work because it felt you felt uncomfortable or no?
No, we talked about the scene going in, and pretty much everything that I needed to do and everything around was I'm in that zone. So I'm feeling everybody else and that's in the scene as I am, and we're just rocking and rolling. That's kind of the way I went with it. I was like, I told everybody when we were there, I was like, if I start going off the cuff, feed off me. There's one scene where I was telling my brother, I was like, if I say something, just feed off of it. Let's go. Let's just go and make it as natural as possible. And that's what we did. I was like, it may be funny and you can giggle a little bit, but don't laugh too much.
Oh yeah. Uh, without giving away too much, is there a very definitive ending, or is it a question mark, or do you want people just to find out themselves?
Uh, People watch it and find out themselves. Um,
All
it could go one way, it could go the other.
right. Uh, I know when I do watch it, I'm going to give it a review, and it's going to go up on the channel. Uh,
Right,
I rate everything 1 to 10, 10 being best, one being worst. I know everyone's like 1 to 5. Five to me is
right,
average. So,
right.
uh, I'm expecting for this to be more than what I'm expecting, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Because there's, like I said, I've seen over the last week, I think I've seen 15 independent films that were sent to me.
Right.
And each one's getting their own rating. I mean, Mother Shucker is in my Hall of Fame now because I've seen it so many times and I've shown it to so many different people, and I fully
Right.
intend to do that with Twisted Gables. So the end product, would you say we got about 9 minutes left? The end
Okay.
product, would you say you're satisfied and like you wouldn't have done nothing different?
Um, I have not got to see the movie yet.
Oh, okay.
We are set up, I believe it's March 8th that we're having our premiere cast party to watch it. And but there were some of the scenes that I watched from day one that we went through at the end of day two, even though we were just tired as can be. Um, the scenes I've seen so far and being there, I don't know how he shot it, where he shot it from, but being there, I'm pretty satisfied, and I think everybody else will too with the work, the time, and everything going in it to get this ready. Um, yeah, I for an independent film, and when he told me he was shooting independent films, I originally was like, oh, so we're going to do the Blair Witch Project, but we got scripts this time. So that's what I originally thought until we went into all this. I was like, oh wow, this is insane.
All right. Uh, so what about 8 minutes left? If you want to take a couple minutes and, like I always ask this question to everybody, what would you say to somebody trying to break into any field of any industry, whether it be wrestling, film? What would you say to those people trying to break into it?
Um, the opportunities are there. Take the opportunities. If you are serious, take the opportunities, but do not think that somebody is just going to hand it to you. You are going to have to work. You're going to have to put the time in. We're at a time right now where a lot of people think that everything should be handed to them. When I got into wrestling, nothing was handed to me. When I got into strongman, I wasn't just like, oh, I can lift the heaviest weight in there. You gotta put the work in. If you're something you want and you really do care about it, put the work in. That's all that matters. When Justin gave me this script, I went to work. My biggest thing was I'm not gonna let him down. I'm not gonna let Leah down. I'm not gonna let Carl down. I'm gonna let the rest of the cast down. I'm gonna give them what they want, what they need to make this a success. Because the thing is, when you're doing a film, it's not just you, it's a whole bunch of people drawn in line, and everybody takes a bow when it's over. So, if you want to be up there, you want to get asked and everything else, put the work in, get ready. Because if you really care about it, go ahead and just get ready to hunker down and go through the hard times because there's going to be some, no matter what. Uh, and then you will always be rewarded for hard work. Period.
All right. Uh, let's take a minute because I know I asked Cassie and I asked a couple other people. With Lee being behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
I've always like just talking to her. She's, one of the best human beings I've ever had the privilege of knowing. Being on set, would you consider her like the set mom?
Yes. She is the one that riles everybody up. Like, come on, we got to go. We got to do this. We got to do that. When Justin is starting to get irritated with things, like when it's not working, she's always there, like, listen, calm down. What can we do? Everything. Oh, yeah. She drove me around everywhere. I felt like Miss Daisy there for a little bit.
That's awesome. uh, so we got about what, 5 minutes? Yeah, we got about 5 minutes. With Twisted Gables coming out, actually, it's already out on the site, which is
Yes.
horrorlandmedia.square.site. Got it right that time. I think I did. So with it already out on where you can order it and it's gonna be getting to the masses and everything like that, are people going to see a different side of you from the wrestling to the acting?
Yes. The acting part, yes, but I also think people are going to see, okay, so when he gets mad, that's what happens. That is one thing that I'm actually extremely proud about doing this movie is because that transfer over, yeah, you get to see it.
uh, I don't know, call me crazy, but you being in a horror movie, I always picture like I picture you just squishing someone's head or ripping their head apart. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I mean, that's just me, but you see it in all these big hulking horror movies where people's heads are getting squished and stuff. So
Right.
it's Uh, so if you wanted to say, what would be your outside of Captain Spaulding, real quick, who would be your top three?
My top three, Michael's number one for me. Halloween, the original Halloween 2, is probably the best Halloween movie ever made, in my opinion. I don't know why. Number two would be Jason Voorhees because my mother introduced me to him, and then I'd have to go Leatherface after that. That would be my top three because that'll be one of those. No matter, except for Halloween Kills, because I don't consider that, or Halloween Ends. I'm sorry, I don't consider that. Besides that movie, all three of those franchises, I could pop one in and I'm entertained for the hour and a half, 2 hours that it's on.
All right.
So,
So let me find it real quick. I got all my stuff back here. I'm sorry.
no, you're good.
Oh, it's not there. Oh, yeah, it is. So you said those three, right?
Yeah.
There's a movie out there called The Evil Three. It's Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Leatherface. It's a fan
Oh,
film.
wow.
It's actually
Huh.
it's pretty good. Not to plug something. I'm sorry. That
Right.
was neither here nor
No.
there, but good movie.
Okay.
But I would say go ahead and check it out. It's if not, I could send you a copy. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's been a good day, a good interview today because little to the audience that's gonna watch this later, we've never spoken.
No.
Like this is our first time. Same as it was with Cassie. And the I'm gonna tell you now, you're one of the most humble people I've met so far.
Right.
And I still don't want to meet you in a dark alley. I don't want to be the one whose head gets squished. But nah, I just want to say thank you for coming on and for being an awesome guest. You know,
I appreciate the invite. This was a lot of fun. I want everybody to see this movie. Uh, I've been pushing it on social media. Was going to push it at the wrestling show we were supposed to have yesterday, but Tennessee got hit pretty hard by some storms and everything. So our area got flooded out pretty good. So we weren't able to do that. But I've been on the socials and hitting that because, I mean, as I said, not only for me, but for the rest of the people that were in this movie, they deserve for this to be seen. And for the night in the barn alone, from us freezing, which, by the way, funny story for you. I am the only one that was in the barn in sleeveless all night. I never put a jacket on. I just want that to be known. And don't, but no, I want this to be successful as Mother Shucker. Mother Shucker is the top dog for Justin, and I'm so happy for him, Carl, all the rest of them. And I'm hoping that this is just a number two of everybody wants to see his movies, and I want to see it continue on.
all right. All right. With that, I'm going to say thank you, Lex. We didn't use any real names here because we know you as Lex.
Yes, exactly.
But I want to thank you for coming on, and you're more than welcome to come on anytime, even if it's just to say you got a booger in your nose. I know that's a stupid line, but it's a line.
Right.
All right. But thank you, and yeah, we'll talk again. Everybody, stay NC-17.
See you.